All right, well, it's 4:30. We're going to get started, everyone, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar on leveraging AI tools to help you work smarter and not harder. I'm Sheila Gearhart with the Office of Digital Learning, and today we're going to explore a few AI tools that can help you save time, plan more efficiently, and create some engaging materials. So we are going to dive in. All right, to get started, I thought we'd start by trying to make a word cloud. I have something in, I'm going to put it in the chat as well, if you're able to, and I'm going to change up my screen so I can share, or if you can click on the slide I have right in front of you, think of in one or two words. Think of what teaching task takes up the most of your time. What teaching task takes up the most of your time? And I'm going to now share my screen so that you can see what's coming in real time. These are the time sucks, the thing that we spend all our time doing. And it is not surprising that we are thinking the same. Planning for lessons, grading, yes, prepping. Some of you may not even be teaching in your content area, so you might be learning, like researching. You might have to learn how to do some things before your students, before you have to teach it to them. Oh, IEPs, writing IEPs, yes. Finding materials, yes. Oh, these are some good things, but I think, oh, what else do we have? Some other things. But lesson planning and grading, they seem to be the biggest thing that we're doing, and organizing things. All right, great. I'm going to stop sharing this so I can go back to what I had before. And thank you for your patience. And let me get Okay, so in today's session, we have three goals I'd like to do. I'd like to introduce you to some AI tools that can assist you with saving time and planning collaboration and creating materials, give you a chance to explore different ways that you can use these tools. And I also want you to know this can be a hands-on this is a hands-on webinar for you. So I encourage you, if you're on your device, to dig into these tools as I'm talking about them so that you can try your hand at them and explore along with me. We know in our busy schedules that all of us seem to feel like we never have enough time in our day to get things done that we need to. Sometimes we find ourselves with or maybe we teach in a silo where we don't have another person around to collaborate with, or we're in the driving in the car and we come up with this great idea and there's no one to bounce ideas off of or get feedback from. And sometimes we may be lacking the resources or the support we need to help us do the job we need to do with our planning, support students, and even administrative tasks. And as educators, we have so many moving parts that we're trying to think about as we plan. Our classrooms are filled with diverse learners and they have different needs. And we are trying to plan for this variety of learners and create engaging learning experiences. And all of this can be very challenging. And sometimes there may be barriers in the way that make it harder for us to do this. And a lot of us feel like we're spinning plates all the time, trying to get all these things done. And we're kind of at our wits' end and we're looking for something that can help. So many of us have started to turn to using AI tools. And with these AI tools, they can be found, these tools can help us be more efficient, be productive, and also spark creativity in our planning. And when we're looking for tools, we want to find ones that allow us maybe to generate content that we can use with our students, find solutions that are personalized to our specific situation. And we not only want the tools, we want them easy to use, we want them on demand, just when we need them. We need them to be reliable, we need them to be safe, and we also want them to be versatile so that they do many different things, because we don't want to have to go to 50 different tools for 50 different things. We want to get a lot of bang for our buck. And I'm just curious, for you out there, that what kind of tools are some of you using? If you could put it in the chat, what are some AI tools that some of you may have gone to, or it's your go-to tool? I'm just curious if you could maybe put some in the chat. And if you, okay, Magic School, that's one we're going to be talking about today. And I have that one in the that was in our description for today's session. Chat GPT is another one. There's one I have in here. Okay, so today the ones we're going to be highlighting are going to be Magic School. I'm going to dig into Copilot with you. And there's another one that I didn't put in the description that I'm going to share, and that's called, I'll save that one as a surprise for a little bit later. But all of these things that you're naming, they've become your thought partners, probably. They're not doing all of your work for you. They might do some of the work for you, a big significant chunk of it, where it's taking away some of that cognitive load and to give you a little time to free you up to do other things. But these things can be great thought partners and assistants for us. When we're using AI tools, we do need to we need to think about best practices for using them. When there's so many new ones coming out, they're always evolving, and new ones are being introduced like every day. There's something new out there. It's so hard to keep up with them all. But we can't vet them as quick as they're coming out. So we do need time as educators to have a chance to explore them and try them out, but we also have to do it and make sure we're doing it in a responsible way. When we're using them, the things that they generate, we need to make sure we're checking for bias and accuracy, because AI might occasionally, believe it or not, produce things that are incorrect or biased. So we need to fact check, double check, and make sure before we share anything with students that we have checked it over. One idea you might want to think about is that 80-20 approach. I thought this was an interesting one, where we can use AI to maybe do that initial work, that big, like I said, heavy lifting, to kind of help ease that cognitive load, but make sure to add your final touches to it. Make sure that you've reviewed it for accuracy. Make sure you might even need to put your special voice to it or tone to it, where you're like adding that extra 20% to it. And some people are thinking, oh no, all this AI stuff, I'm going to be out of a job. No, because we still need you, teachers. Your judgment matters. Seeing this AI generated content, see it as a starting point. It's not the final solution. Always adhere to our policies and things like that, but it's just a kind of an entry point or a jumping off point. You still get to do the final judgments on things. Also, know your limits about your AI's knowledge. Remember, it stops on the last training date that it had. So things may not be recent, that it hasn't learned from that yet. So again, that's another reason to make sure you're checking it, and that checking it for accuracy. And most importantly, remember about protecting your privacy. Please don't ever include student personal details like names or addresses. Don't include your own personal information, and make sure if you accidentally put those things in, take them out before you get too far. The Office of Digital Learning has created materials that can help you with, oh, let me pop this up, with best practices and guidance for using AI. Because now that a lot of us are learning how we can use it for ourselves, we're trying to think of ways that we can start using it with our students in a safe place in the classroom. So if you need guidance on that, just go to the Schoology course Technology Tools and Resources. We have a folder in there called Best best instructional practice and strategies with a folder for artificial intelligence AI in the classroom. That is where you can find a copy of our district's AI policies and guidelines for using AI to help give you some ideas for using it if you want to use it with students. And also a list of AI sites, and you should be able to click on those as well in the presentation if you needed to. I thought I had them linked. If not, I will be sending out links to everything from today's session. I'll email them out to you. But Heidi Kaminsky has started putting together a list of sites that you might want to check out and use as a teacher. Check them out in case you want to start using them with your students or just use them for yourself. Here are some AI tools you may be familiar with already. That first, we have some that can help students, with the immersive reader, help our students with the screen reading, using some other tools within that screen reader to help our students. We have some tools that help us with creation, like Canva and Adobe Express. And I created this presentation, a lot of it using Canva, and I have another session on that coming up on Thursday if anyone's coming to it. But Canva and Adobe Express are great things for a generative AI to help you generate content that you may want to use with your students. And then we have some other kind of tools. I would call them more some of them are chat style where it's like having that thought partner that I was telling you about, where you can talk back and forth to refine ideas and come up with something that you can use with students, lesson plans, lesson seeds, things like that. But also there's one in here it's from Google, and it's called Notebook LM. And that's one I want to share with you today. That was kind of my surprise in this session. And it's one that I haven't heard too many people in this system talk that much about, but I just was fascinated by it. I know we have a teacher in here who's from Patuxent who they've heard me say some of these things already before, but hopefully this will give you guys some time to dig into these platforms and try them out, and that you'll find something new out of it by going through tonight. So these are the three that we're going to be focusing on. I'm going to first give you a little overview of the tool, kind of what it is if you're not familiar with it. I'm going to be jumping into the platform to do a quick demo. And while I'm doing it, you are welcome to jump in as well. Like I said, this is hands-on, so feel free to jump in and try it out for yourselves. And maybe get some time to create some things for yourself that you can use and walk away with tomorrow. All right, so the first one we're going to be looking at is Magic School AI, which I saw was a big go-to for a lot of you. This is a generative AI platform geared for educators. It was created by an educator. If you haven't gone into it before, you can sign up for free using your school email account. And when you initially sign up, you do get the premium, I call it the freemium account, for a couple weeks, where you get all the bells and whistles. But afterwards, and the premium goes away and you're left with the free version. You still can do a lot of things with it, with the free version. Some of the things you can do with it, let me jump to this slide. You can create content. You can find ways to help differentiate for students, doing things, engaging with families and communities, and coming up with your own unique content. I think this is really neat too, because there's a lot of creative things in Magic School that just can spark engagement and interest from students, and also kind of bring back your own creative, get your creative juices flowing to give you some inspiration to love that magic of learning. So I'm going to jump into the platform now. And let's see, let me go over here. And if you haven't gone into it before, all you have to do is go to Magic School. I'll just copy this and put it in the chat if anyone needs it. But when you land on the landing page, you have these tools. And initially when this first came out, oh wait, let me go back to This should be giving me more. Oh, that's because I have a choice in there. Um, it started off with, I think, maybe 30 tools or so, and now they have, like, I think over 70 or 80. Plus, I think you can even create your own tools now. But the tools are specific, and that's one of the reasons why I like this platform is because you can take something specific, and sometimes the hard part is thinking of a prompt of, like, what you wanna ask or what you want it to do. But let's say I wanted to do something on giving, feedback. So I'm just gonna click on this writing feedback, and what I like about it gives you this little form that it's really just like filling in the blanks of what you would like to do. Always give the, and this is good to remember this form for when you move to other kinds of platforms that are kind of chat style, thinking about how you have to give in the information to get out of output that you want. So for instance, if for writing feedback, it's asking you for your grade level, describe the assignment, what type of feedback you want, or rubric, additional instructions, and so forth. And you can even insert writing here that you want feedback on. And the little paper clips are reminders that you can upload an attachment. So if you have something that's maybe a writing piece that you can upload as an attachment, and it could analyze it for you. But I'm going to go right here to the exemplar because it's nice to see sometimes that they can do this. They have an exemplar where they said, okay, let's do writing feedback for 8th grade writing where they're analyzing imagery. And they put in some information, they put in a writing piece right here, and then all you do is click the generate, and within seconds, it'll give you feedback, areas of strength, areas to grow on. It's not rewriting everything, but it's giving you suggestions to make it better. And then you have questions if you have the premium version or if you pay for that, that can help you even hone down more. Now, let's say you want to use some of these things, you like some of these comments and you want to use them. You can, I suggest, copy them and paste them somewhere else. Paste them into a Word document, or if this was something you were giving a student, you could send it to them somehow to give it to them. If you can also save it to your resources. So I'm going to click Save to Resources, and you give it a name. Let's say this one was writing feedback, and then save. And it saved your resource. And with the free version, your storage, I think, is limited for that. But I'm just going to go back here and look at all these tools you have to choose from. There's so many. I can't get into all of them now, but you can see there's lots to play with and lots of things to help you be creative. Now, I had talked about ways around the free version. And one of the ways I find around the free version is by using Raina the chatbot. Raina the chatbot allows me, remember when I was trying to do the writing tool of getting the feedback, I couldn't ask those extra questions to refine my search. I was limited. What Raina does, Raina allows me to have this conversation with my thought partner. And I can ask Raina a question, or I can upload a file and then get a response back. So for instance, maybe I want, I'm going to go here. I did something I was looking, and you can, what it does too that I like is it saves all your old um, prompts that you ask. So maybe I want to create, I don't know, what's this? Let me see what I did here. Character perspective. So what I did initially was I said, use a short story for 8th graders. Students have to rewrite the story from one character's point of view using a literary analysis standard. I wanted it to create the assignment for me, and I wanted it to create a rubric for scoring for full understanding, some understanding, minimal understanding. So when I did that, you can see the iterations that I went through. So it gave me my assignment. It had an objective, it had the instructions, and it gave me a rubric that I could use. I don't know about you, but I'm not one on liking to use rubrics. Well, then I asked it, Raina, for another question. I said, could you give me a good short story to use if I was trying to use this as a pre-assessment? So Raina gave me a suggestion of using Thank You Ma'am by Langston Hughes. And this happens to be a story. If you teach eighth grade, I believe it's one that is one of the pieces of text they suggest using for it. But it's funny how it chose this too. But why use that one, the different reasons for it, what themes should I focus on? So you can keep asking questions to refine your response and get down to some things where you're not having to come up with the text. If you needed, like I did something for someone not too long ago with was cause and effect. She needed a quick exit slip from a small group that she had been working with to see if her small group instruction was working. So it was something we could do really quick and fast and print out and that she could give to the kids. And if you do create assignments, you can ask it to create answer keys for you, or like you saw, it can create rubrics as well. And all of the things that you do are saved over here. You can always go back to them later. Something else that's different about Magic School is this is a great place if you do want to start introducing your students to using AI. And if you wanted to really keep it tight, I like this because you saw all those tools that we had, and what a great way for a student to start off with. Maybe they get feedback on their own writing. So you could set up your own Magic School room with your class where they could join. And the beauty is you can pick the tool that they use. They're not going to be overwhelmed with 70 some tools. You can pick the tools that you want them to use, show them, demonstrate how to use it, and then they can try it. And like if you tried that writing feedback, imagine how powerful that could be if a student is putting in their own writing and getting that wonderful feedback, not the general kind of feedback that doesn't really tell you how to improve, but giving them real useful, productive feedback that tells them how they can make their writing better, but without rewriting everything for them. And again, they have some previews. So I'm going to hit a preview here to kind of show you an example of the Magic Student. This is one on a passion project where the students would be researching something that interests them. So these might be some tools that you could choose from that the students could use while they're researching. There's research assistant, then maybe they're going to take what they learned and share it out with others, and they might decide to do a podcast, or they might create a skit or a song or something like that. But I love how it just gives you these options, and as the teacher, you get to pick the tools that you'd like them to use. So I wanted to give you a few minutes to finish exploring a little bit before we move on to the next tool there. And if anyone has any tips or things they want to share out, feel free to write in the chat or unmute yourself. Okay, just for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next tool. And this one is called Copilot. And if you could do your digital thumb or hand, how many of you, I'm curious, have used Copilot before? Or It maybe a few. I don't have my people part on. Maybe a few of you have. Okay, good. All right. Okay. So if you haven't heard of Copilot, let me just tell you a little bit about it. It is from Microsoft, and it is something that integrates with your Office 365 account. And it is a kind of chat style interface, like Chat GPT or something, where you can ask it a question and you'll get a response back. You can also ask it to generate images. You can upload your own image to it or upload a file if you want to use it for some kind of reference. What I like about it too is, let's say, you know how with Magic School, we could only download it as a Word document or something, a PDF, if we had the premium version. Well, in Copilot, if you find something you really like, you could, like, maybe you have a graphic organizer or a handout, you can help tell Copilot to create a downloadable file, a PDF file, a Word file, or an Excel file that downloads right to your device that you can pull up and edit and change and make as pretty as you want. Like I said, it's very basic and simple, but it's a starting point. What I like about this one that's a little different than some of the other chat style AI tools is that it notes its sources. So it's transparent in letting you know where it's getting its information from. And you can click into those sources and vet them and check them out. And you may even share those resources with others or your students. And again, it's a way that it integrates with your Office 365 account. So it's Microsoft and it works really well with those applications. So let's jump into Copilot. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Now, in the interface, you can get to Copilot by just going to Office 365. And here I am. You'll see that it's right there in the rail on the left. Or if you were to open up a new page, like in Bing or something, and you see sometimes in that middle search, you see that design, the icon there, just click on that and that'll open it up for you in Office 365 to go to Copilot. And it's available on an app. And I wish I could show you some of the things the app can do, but unfortunately, it's hard for me to do that in this building with the Wi-Fi, and it doesn't let me get to it the way where it can work. But you just put in a prompt. And like I said, it's all about the prompt. When you're creating a prompt, try to give context. What is it that you want? What are you looking for? Who's your audience? Give any kind of context you can give to help the prompt get more specific. And sometimes don't give up from the first time you do it. It takes some skill to work on writing good prompts to get what you need, so that you're not writing as many questions to go back and forth to get the outcome that you're looking for. So it takes a little nuancing and practice to do. But here's an example. I've put in the chat down here that I'm a 9th grade algebra teacher, and I have students with IEPs and 504 accommodations, and I want to know, how can I balance the needs of these students while helping students who are in my class who are at a different level, who need enrichment and acceleration. Like we said, we have these diverse situations in our classrooms that make it challenging to plan for, but this can be a collaborative partner to help us out. So I'm going to go ahead and click the send button, and let's see what Copilot gives me some ideas for. So here it's given me some ideas of trying to differentiate, and we see these and then we're like, yeah, these are kind of general, and we know they're on the right track. But what it also does is it can help you refine what you're looking for. it does give you more questioning at the bottom. Oh, maybe you want to do some specific flexible grouping that's effective. Okay, you can click on that, and then you can get more information. So it gives you more things that you can just dig deeper into. And if you decide that you like this, that you want to keep it or do something else with it, you can copy all the text. But depending on what you're doing, you might want to do something else. You might want it to create a graphic organizer for you, or you might want it to create a note sheet for you. You could put in notes that you have and have it generate a study guide. So it can take some of these bigger tasks that you have and do them faster. For instance, let me show you one. Oh, sometimes you need stories, like write a short story on a specific theme or something. You can have it do that. It just does it so fast. And if you like Chat GPT, this is very similar. I just like it because I wanted to show you, let me see, I had one, no, it's not one. I had sometimes when I was telling you, it can create a file for you. Like, maybe I wanted to do this summary to help me get background information. And I just told it to create a Word document. So it created a Word document for me. And looking back at this summary, it was on Martin Luther King. You can see that there are some footnotes in here. And what that does is that's me, when I told you it's transparent in its sourcing and where it gets it from, you can check that source out. So I'm just going to click on that little footnote, and it's going to take me to the website where it got that information, because I might want to use that with my students. So it does a lot of that research for you. Sometimes one of the things that you had that some of you put in there is that you look for resources. You're looking for things to use with your students. And we spend so much time trying to Google or search up and we find individual things, and then we have to curate and put them together. I find that I am not going to the general Google searches as much anymore. I'm going to things like Copilot or ChatGPT or things like that, where I can let it do the research for me, because this is a more robust tool. So it saves me a lot of time. If you're planning a lesson, if you're planning a trip, it doesn't even have to be school related. It can do so many different things that you need it to do. And all of the chats that you put in are saved because they link with your Office 365 account, and you can go back to them. It saves them all. And if you decide it's something you want to keep coming back to, you can click the three dots and rename it so you can see it easily. I had a teacher have a really good idea for using Copilot. They said this would be a great way to kind of introduce some AI tools with my students. She was a fifth grade teacher, and she thought about if the class needed to do some quick research, quick background research, and you know how you sometimes have that moment where you look things up together. This could be a way to get without all the clutter and the ads and things like that, you could do a quick research with your friend Copilot, your thought partner, and see what kind of information it comes up with. And it also helps you show your students how this is just the starting point. It's not always the final solution, that you still have to look at it and see if the information is correct. Sometimes too, comparing one tool to another, you get different kinds of responses. Some are more creative, some are more, you know, intensive. So this is a great way that you could also share with students how you can use it, or they could use it later on. And then all you have to do is click new chat if you're ready to start over. So anyone thinking they might give Copilot a try? I just think it's amazing for downloading things. I know we have some elementary school teachers in here. I had a teacher I was working with who wanted to do some practice with consonant, vowel, consonant words. And she said, oh, it gave some ideas of activities that she could do. And one of them was bingo. And I said, you know what? I wonder if it could create the bingo cards for you. So I put in here, create a bingo game. Let me see, I can do it really fast. Create a bingo game for CVC words, include a call list, and make 20 different bingo cards. Or maybe you do 5. Maybe you want to do it in a small group and the kids could practice it. I'll do it with something smaller, like maybe like 7 different bingo cards in a downloadable, I can't spell today, Word doc. All right, so here it's going to take a moment. Imagine you trying to create this where you're making bingo cards and making different ones. So it's just thinking. Hopefully it'll work today. There we go. So now I'm going to click on the bingo game. And it's not going to be pretty, but it's something to work with. So it's coming up on my other screen. So here's the call list of words. And then here are the bingo cards. You could go in and make them larger, but it made them all different. So they're not all the same. So think of all the work, that the cognitive load that just took off of me if I needed to come up with something on the fly or in a short notice to do something for students. Even if it's things like subplans or things like this could really help you out in a pinch. Any comments? Anyone want to? Oh, wait, let me go to there. Okay. Oh, good. Yes, Brittany, give it a try. I know. I always say I'm going to use my thought partner Copilot today. I keep saying I want to give it a name, so I can just go use it all the time. But I do. I like this one because it sources things out, and that's something I like for this. Okay, the last one I wanted to show you, let me go back to sharing a different screen again so I can get up to the next one. Actually, I could probably do it from here. I'm just going to keep sharing the screen. All right, the next thing I want to share is called Notebook LM. And I know some of you may have heard it before, but for me, this one was kind of new and I only recently discovered it. It's made by Google, and they're calling it an assistant, an AI research assistant. The way I heard about this was I was listening to a podcast by Catlin Tucker, who's a blended learning kind of expert, and she has a high school daughter who was taking classes like AP classes and stuff, and she was getting ready for school, and her daughter was running late getting ready, and she was wondering what she was doing, and she heard voices from her daughter's room and wondered, what is she doing? Her daughter was listening to something, and she said, what are you doing? We need to go. And her daughter said, I'm getting ready, I'm almost ready, but I'm listening to my biology notes. She was listening to a podcast that was created where she took her notes that her teacher had given her from class, and it took her notes and put it together as a podcast, an audio recording where she could just listen to it anytime she wanted to. So I thought that was odd. I said, this blows my mind. I need to see what this is all about. So it's called Notebook LM. And I talked to Heidi Kaminsky, our Google account admin, and she was able to look it up and we can use our school Google accounts to access it. It's just at notebooklm.google, or you can just put in Notebook LM. And the first time you go, you may need to sign in with your Google account, but you go and you just click Try Notebook. And when you open it up, it gives you the option to create a new notebook. And you might be saying, well, what's so special about these notebooks? The notebooks are special because you are putting in the sources. So for like for instance, I was working with some biology teachers, and they were working on succession, ecological succession. So they had several notes. They had the teacher gave me his PowerPoint presentation that he uses with students. He gave me PDFs. He gave me videos that he uses. And this is a way you can curate those resources and bring them together. So I'm going to hit create new so I can show you more about the sources. So you're picking what you want it to use. And I would suggest starting with this, use it for yourself as the teacher. And this is going to be a teaching tool for you. Upload your sources. So it'll take PDFs, text documents, text files. It'll even take audio files like MP3 files. It will take links to websites. It'll take links to YouTube videos. Now, I have found there may be some websites or YouTube videos that are just too big or long that you can't use, but generally most of them work. You can even copy and paste text in. Now, since this is a Google product, it wants Google things like Google Docs and Google Slides, and we're a Microsoft school district. No problem. You can take your Word document or your PowerPoint and not have to do anything to it. Just go to File, Save As, and save it as a PDF. And then you can upload it in here. You didn't have to do any big conversion or changing. Just use what you already have. And you can bring up to 50 sources in. Now, I think that's quite a bit. I think that's too much, and I think sometimes less is more with this. But you do have the option to put up to 50 things in here. And you may think of some new creative uses for using this than what I'm telling you. So when you have your sources in, I'm going to go to one, I'll go to that ecology one. When you have your sources in, all your sources are in one spot. And if you find your screen looks a little different and doesn't have these three parts, I found when I was presenting this to teachers that the screen was just zoomed in too big, and you had to kind of go to the view it and zoom out a little bit so that all of it would fit. But here you can see the different things they put in. So here I just clicked on one of the PDFs of volcano succession. What it did is it summarized it for me, just like that. It pulled out key terms. And I'm just curious. I'm going to click on one of these key terms. And look, now I can discuss something about Mount St. Helens with it. So it's taking that one of those key terms and looking for some things from all the different sources, anything about Mount St. Helens. And it's putting it here in this chat. And I could ask questions, like maybe I want to pull some more information out or understand something or break an idea down. I could ask questions and it will answer me back. It gives you some guiding questions too down here you can see that could be helpful. Imagine if you were a student though, and you had access to this. I'm thinking of like your AP students or something like that that might want to try it, and they could put in their notes, and the teacher wasn't there to ask, but they had questions about things. They could type in their questions about the content, and they're going to get responses, but the responses are only coming from the sources that you put in. That's why I like this one, because it's sticking to what you've vetted to put in. And you notice how there are the little footnotes. This is great for citing sources. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these, and it took me to something, a YouTube video. And did you see it pulled exactly out where that source came from? It quoted it in the text or in the transcript where it came from. So It's transparent and it's really good for helping you cite information and find out where it came from. So it has the chat feature. Every time you come in, your chats are going to be gone. You can't save them. So if there is something that you do want to save, you should copy and paste it somewhere else. Something else that it will do is create over here some in the studio. This is where some things can get created for you. You can create a study guide. So here's one that I created. It gives you some quiz questions and the answers to them. It gives you some ideas for essay questions if you need them, a glossary of terms and their definitions. So imagine some of you probably have those students who need notes. Part of their IEP, their accommodations is they get notes from your lectures. So this would be a great succinct way to get those notes to them. Something else that you can create that might be beneficial in that same way is a briefing document where it kind of summarizes the key terms and things like that. I'll go ahead and have it generating that for us while we're talking. But that's something else that you could use. It even, here, I'll click on it and we'll see. Here's the briefing document. This is fantastic because it looks for, look at this, the main theme, key ideas and facts. It's taking all of those sources and putting it together in a meaningful way for you. If any of you are taking a grad class, this might be something that you might want to use for yourself to help with study and preparation. But not all of us are visual learners and can take in information, reading it and synthesizing it and making sense of it. Some of us like to hear things. And this is the part that kind of blows my mind. One of the things you can do with this is create an audio overview, which is that podcast I was telling you about. I'm going to go ahead and click load because it's going to take a while to generate. Sometimes when you do this, you get the option with the button customize. And what that allows you to do is you could put in something that you wanted the podcast to focus on for your students, something that you want them to listen to. But I'm going to go ahead and hit load. It takes a minute to load it up. It's going to create an AI generated podcast with two voices, a man and a woman, and they're having a conversation on this topic. So this one ended up being 14 minutes long. Depending on the content that you're putting in, you might get a podcast that's really long. Like I did one that was 30 minutes and that's too long. What you can do with your podcast, and I'll let you hear it in just a moment, but you can click the three dots and you can download that file. You can download that audio file and then you can put it in Schoology and have it available for your students. Another way for them to take in new information to be presented to them, or it could be a way for them to process this and make sense of some of these big concepts that they haven't heard before. But I'm going to go ahead and turn on my sound and I'm going to hit play.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Do you hear it?
Today's topic, it's really fascinating. It's all about ecology. You, our listeners, send in some really great stuff about how life bounces back after, like, big disruptions.
Oh,
And also how different species team up. Yeah, sometimes in really surprising ways.
yeah.
We're going to explore both ecological succession and symbiotic relationships. So buckle up.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a bunch of sources to dive into: YouTube videos, PDF documents, even some specific details on what happened after the Mount St. Helens eruption. Remember that? So, yeah, the goal is to take all of this, break it down, and give you the most interesting insights into, well, how ecosystems change over.
So it sounds like a natural conversation. It blows my mind, the first time I heard it. And when you download them, they are the same two voices every time. The thumbs up, thumbs down gives them feedback if it was the system, if it was a good, it had what you wanted it to be in it or not. But something else that's in here is this beta interactive mode. And you can only do this if you're in this notebook. But what it allows you to do is access your microphone and ask permission to use your microphone. And while the podcast is running, you can click join, and then the podcast guy will say, "Oh, wait, we have somebody who wants to join in the discussion." And then you can interrupt at any time and ask your question. And then the podcast kind of pivots based on what you asked. Um, Sometimes it's not 100% like we know it's AI, but I I had some teachers testing it out, and they were saying, "Wow, this is pretty neat." Like that you could ask for clarification on something, or it's going to get to that point eventually, and it just jumps right to it then when you ask. But it's, I think, something very unique and different that you could try using. I had one teacher, of course, I heard some teachers say, "Oh, great, now this is just gonna take away my job. I'm not gonna have a job anymore." But no, remember, it's always about you. You're the final, um, you know, put the stamp of approval on everything, and you're the monitor, and you're the one who's helping all the checks for understanding. But I did have a teacher who gave a suggestion of, if they had their lecture in this podcast form, they could have a day off from lecturing in front of the classroom. And I said, what a great idea. This is real. This is an opportunity where you could turn it over to the student and give them agency over their learning. They could listen to the podcast, so they're getting a different way of the information presented to them, but maybe you give them guided notes to go with it, or certain questions you'd like them to be able to answer after the podcast or during the podcast. But then they have that ownership where the student can pause it or rewind it and listen to it again. Or if they're absent, they could listen to it and they hear the same consistent message. Um, I did have a teacher tell me that when she did it and she asked it to generate a podcast again, it was the same podcast. So that was kind of neat to know. But sometimes you get that opportunity to customize a bit. But what a great way to try to turn it over to the students, and let them take the wheel of it for a bit. And that could free you up to meet with a small group, or to meet one-on-one with something, or, do something else that you need to do. But I thought this one was really interesting to share. Something else with this, it does have a share option where you can share a notebook with someone else. Now, I tried doing this. I'm having a little issue with this one, because for some reason I was trying to share it with another teacher, and I was having trouble. I couldn't do it, but yet I could share it with my teammate, Chris Guthrie. So this is still kind of new. As you can see, some things are still in the beta version of it, but I see a lot of potential for it. Um, and if you ever needed help or assistance here, there is a help part right here. But there is a paid version if you wanted to go to that. Like I said, I'm all about the free version. But I think this has some opportunity to help personalize learning for students and help you as a teacher develop materials that you could use with your students. Anyone trying it out? I had a science teacher who's in Project Lead the Way, and she put in all of her presentation things, because the students do something where they have to investigate a crime scene based on the evidence they found. And she put in all of her sources, and the podcast, she said it came out, and she said it was so fun. It was like almost like a true crime podcast, where it was like a murder mystery or something, but it was just presented in a way that was engaging for the students and gave them a different perspective on things to get the directions for it. Anyone else have any other ideas they're thinking of, maybe? But I know when I heard the voices the first time, it kind of blew my mind. Um, just like this one has where you can talk, I mean, where it has the people talking, going back to Copilot, when I told you there's an app for Copilot, one of the things you can do is use the hands-free feature in Copilot. And you're just like in your car or something, you hit the hands-free feature, and suddenly the screen looks like you're making a phone call to someone. And a voice will come on and say, "Who am I talking to today?" And it's just like a regular voice, and you can say who, a fake name, whatever you want. But then it's your thought partner. You can say, one time I used it, I was trying to find a brainstorm, I mean, an icebreaker for something I was doing, a session I was doing for another group. And I said, I'm looking for an icebreaker to use for like Copilot. And I wanted to be an icebreaker where people could still learn about it, but it would be fun and quick. So it started giving me ideas. And then I said, I don't like those. Give me some more. And it let me interrupt. And it was just like having a phone call with someone. And then it gave me the idea of, oh, try two truths and a lie. I said, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. So I said, give me some examples. So it would give me examples of the two truths and a lie. And if I didn't like them, I'd say, give me some more. I don't like those. So it gave me more. And it was just really, I was just driving down the road, having this weird conversation with a virtual being, getting my ideas rolling and going, and I'm just driving and talking, and my hands were free. And then I came up with my warm up. And what was nice about it is later on, I could go back to my phone, and everything that I had that verbal conversation with that Copilot chat, it was all in a transcription. So it was all, I could read all the words and find the two truths and a lie that I decided I wanted to use. So it saved that in there for me with my account, and I could grab it. But really amazing things that are coming out there. So many things it's hard to keep up with. And I say give them a try, and if it's something worthwhile, investigate it more and explore. And if you think it's something worthwhile for others to use, put in that request form to get it vetted so that we can get it on the approved list and stuff. So many neat things out there. I was like talking to Matt Poteet the other day, and he was telling me soon there's things out there where you can we'll be talking virtually like this to some AI being, asking it opinions, and it's going to be like a fake person sitting there talking to us. So we'll have friends and thought partners all over the place. And what's interesting too is that these things are just between you and that item. It's not like, it's for your personal, thing here. It's not like your admin's going to go checking in there and seeing what you're doing or anything. It's just to help you do better with your craft or even other things. Well, anyone else want to add anything to the conversation? I know we're getting to the point of wrapping things up. I hope you found some things that you can go out and explore and try. And please share with me or your technology integration specialist at your school if you come up with any new ones, because our team gets together and we love talking about these things and trying new things, because there's so many new things coming out there. So I want to thank you for coming today and participating. And I will be maybe not tonight, but tomorrow I'll be sending out an email to everyone who participated, and I'll be giving you links to everything that I shared today with you. And there's even some other things you can try with Copilot that I have in there if you want to take it a step further. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evening. And I'll hang on for a minute in case anyone had any questions.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I hope you got something out of it.
Yeah. Which one do you think is best for elementary, early elementary?
I think either way, it might depend on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because there's the one like in Copilot, like if you had to make goals or something, you
Mm.
know, Magic School has one that's an IEP what is it, IEP generator or something. And and I used that with some special ed teachers in the high school, and we were putting in like, things about a student that we were describing their situation, and we needed to write goals and objectives or something for them. And it was spitting it out. I think we did it through the chat, but I can't remember if we did it through that or through the
Okay.
tool. But they were telling me, they were like, oh my gosh, that just would save me an hour of work.
Okay. Well, thank you.
But I think special ed also, Copilot's definitely one they've talked about.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Well, enjoy your evening. I'll let you get going.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Have a great night.